The avoidant has become psychologically dependent on the emotional turbulence that their behavior creates in others. They're addicted to the drama of push-pull dynamics, the intensity of someone chasing them, the validation that comes from seeing others fight for their attention. This chaos serves multiple functions. It confirms their desirability, maintains their sense of control, and provides the familiar discomfort they mistake for passion. When you respond to their behavior with silence instead of emotional reactivity, you're cutting off their primary drug supply. The avoidant can no longer get their fix of feeling important through your pursuit, powerful through your distress, or validated through your desperate attempts to understand them. Without this emotional chaos to feed on, they're forced to confront the emptiness that their defensive patterns have been covering up. Your silence reveals that their behavior isn't creating the intended effect. They're throwing emotional grenades into your life, but instead of exploding into reactive pursuit or dramatic confrontation, you simply step away from the blast radius. This lack of reaction is profoundly unsettling to the avoidant because it suggests their tactics aren't working, that they're not as powerful or significant as they believed. The withdrawal of your emotional energy forces them to sit with their own feelings without the distraction of managing your reactions. They can no longer blame your emotional responses for their need to distance themselves. Your silence removes their favorite deflection strategy and forces them to look inward at their own attachment wounds and fears. Silence forces them to chase their own emotional supply. Throughout the relationship, the avoidant has become accustomed to you providing emotional labor, validation, and energy while they remain safely distant. You've been the one pursuing, explaining, analyzing, and working to maintain connection while they benefit from your effort without reciprocating. This dynamic has allowed them to experience the benefits of relationship without accepting the vulnerabilities. When you go silent, you're withdrawing this emotional supply and forcing them to either provide it themselves or go without. Suddenly, if they want connection, they have to initiate it. If they want to know how you're doing, they have to ask. If they want to feel important in your life, they have to actively participate in creating that importance rather than passively receiving your attention. This role reversal is deeply uncomfortable for the avoidant because it places them in the vulnerable position they've been avoiding. They must risk rejection by reaching out first, risk looking needy by showing interest, risk appearing weak by admitting they care. Your silence forces them to experience the emotional position they've been putting you in throughout the relationship. The avoidant discovers that maintaining connection requires effort and vulnerability from both parties. They can no longer coast on your emotional investment while contributing minimal energy themselves. If they want you in their life, they must actively choose to keep you there through their own actions and words. Silence eliminates their power to manipulate your emotional state. The avoidant's primary tool for maintaining control in relationships is their ability to regulate their partner's emotions through inconsistent behavior. They give just enough attention to keep you hopeful, then withdraw enough to keep you insecure. They offer enough intimacy to keep you attached, then create enough distance to keep you working for more. This emotional manipulation allows them to maintain the upper hand while keeping you emotionally destabilized. Your silence destroys this power completely. When you stop reacting to their hot and cold behavior, stop allowing their moods to dictate your emotional state. Stop giving them the satisfaction of seeing their impact on your well-being. You've stripped away their primary method of control. They can no longer use their emotional unavailability as a weapon to keep you insecure and pursuing. Without the ability to manipulate your emotions, the avoidant loses their sense of power in the dynamic. They realize they can withdraw, act distant, or send mixed signals, but these behaviors no longer produce the desired effect of making you chase them or fight for their attention. Your emotional independence renders their manipulation tactics useless. This loss of control is both terrifying and intriguing to the avoidant. They're forced to consider relating to you as an equal rather than someone they can control through emotional withholding. Your silence demands that they engage with you authentically if they want to engage at all. Silence creates the mystery they thought they were providing. The avoidant believes their emotional unavailability makes them mysterious and desirable, that their reluctance to fully commit creates an irresistible challenge for others to solve. They think their mixed signals and hot-cold behavior generate intrigue and keep people interested through uncertainty and scarcity. But when you go silent, you become the actual mystery they were only pretending to be. While they were playing emotional games to seem enigmatic, you've become genuinely unknowable by withdrawing your thoughts, feelings, and reactions from their awareness. They no longer know what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you're doing, or whether you're even thinking about them at all. This real mystery is far more compelling than their manufactured version, because it's authentic rather than performative. Your silence isn't a strategy designed to manipulate their emotions. It's a genuine withdrawal of your attention and energy. The avoidant finds themselves in the unfamiliar position of being the one who's curious, uncertain, and wanting more information. They realize that true mystery comes from depth and self-possession, rather than from emotional games and manipulation. Your silence demonstrates the kind of genuine mystique they were trying to create through artificial means, and it's far more attractive than their calculated emotional distance. Silence protects your energy and restores your power. Every word you speak trying to understand the avoidant, every explanation you give about your feelings, every attempt to get them to communicate openly is energy that could be better invested in your own life and well-being. The avoidant has trained you to spend enormous amounts of emotional energy trying to decode their behavior, manage their moods, and earn their consistent affection. When you choose silence, you're redirecting all that wasted energy back into your own healing, growth, and happiness. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to make sense of their contradictory behavior, you're investing in activities and relationships that actually nourish you. This energy conservation allows you to become stronger, more centered, and more attractive to everyone around you. Your silence also restores your personal power by removing you from a dynamic where you were constantly giving more than you were receiving. You're no longer participating in one-sided emotional labor or accepting crumbs of affection while providing full meals of care and attention. The balance shifts when you stop overgiving and start protecting your emotional resources. The avoidant begins to realize what they're losing when your energy is no longer freely available to them. They see you investing in yourself, pursuing your own interests, building your own happiness, and they understand that their window of access to your care and attention is closing. Your silence forces them to recognize your value by withdrawing it. Silence teaches them the difference between genuine interest and reactive pursuit. Throughout the relationship, the avoidant couldn't distinguish between your authentic care for them and your reactive need to fix the relationship. Every time you pursued them after they withdrew, every time you tried to repair conflicts they created, every time you worked harder when they gave less, they interpreted this as proof of your neediness, rather than evidence of your love. Your silence forces them to examine their own motivations for the first time. When they find themselves wanting to contact you, missing your presence, or feeling drawn to reconnect, they can't attribute these feelings to your pursuit or pressure. For the first time, they're experiencing genuine desire for connection, rather than reactive resistance to someone else's emotional demands. This distinction is crucial for the avoidant's emotional development. They begin to understand the difference between wanting someone because they're being chased and wanting someone because their absence creates a genuine void. Your silence allows them to experience clean, uncomplicated longing without the interference of feeling pressured or suffocated. They start to realize that their previous discomfort wasn't about your personality or behavior. It was about their own fear of vulnerability and intimacy. Without your pursuit to blame for their emotional withdrawal, they're forced to confront their own attachment issues and take responsibility for their patterns. Silence forces them to confront the reality of losing you. As long as you're actively trying to maintain connection, pursuing them during withdrawals, and working to repair the relationship, the avoidant feels secure in the knowledge that you're not going anywhere. Your continued effort serves as insurance that they can always return to the relationship when they're ready, that you'll always be available when they decide they want connection. but your silence threatens this false security by suggesting you might actually be done with the dynamic. For the first time, the avoidant faces the real possibility of permanent loss rather than temporary distance. They realize that your silence might not be a strategy or manipulation. It might be genuine disengagement from someone who's decided they deserve better treatment. This fear of real loss often compels the avoidant to break their own silence and reach out, not from a place of control or manipulation, but from genuine fear that they might have pushed away someone irreplaceable. Your silence creates the first authentic motivation they've had to fight for the relationship rather than fighting against it.